Hi, and thanks for logging on to the Daily Dvar. And here's a brand new halacha for you, and it's for Thursday, the 17th day of January. Here we go. Sometimes it happens that you, for example, daven Ashkenaz, the style of davening that follows the generally German way of, that's what Ashkenaz was, the general practice of the way the siddur was set up in the German style, and that's your way of davening. And let's say that one day, you happen to be at a Svard shul, and they follow generally the customs that came down from the Jews of Spain and all those who descended from them. And you know their davenings work a little bit differently, and we need to just clarify some of the laws about what you do when you're Ashkenaz and you're davening in a Svard shul, or you're Svard and you're davening in an Ashkenaz shul. The general rule, there's so many details, but the general rule that you should try to follow always is all things that are done out loud you should do as the shul you're in is doing. Like, for example, let's say you're in an Ashkenaz shul, and they don't hit their chest and say Ashamnu when they say the parts, the Tachnun after Shon Esrei. You know, in a Sfard shul, they say Ashamnu and they beat their chest, just like we do on Yom Kippur. So let's say you're Sfard, and you usually say Ashamnu at that point of davening, striking your chest with each one of the words, and you're in an Ashkenaz shul where they don't do that. So you don't do, this is what most rabbis say, you don't do Ashamnu, striking your chest in an Ashkenaz shul, because you're differing, like, strikingly from the custom of the Jews around you, and that's just not what we typically like to do. We typically like to follow the custom of the shul that we're in. So anything that you're doing quiet and is basically not seen, you can quietly say your style of davening quietly to yourself if nobody's noticing. But anything striking, like all the out loud responses, like Kedusha, you would recite in the way that the people of the shul are saying it, so that if the Kedusha of the Svard shul is Keser Yitnu Lecha, that's the piece of Kedusha that they're saying in their Musaf, you say it their way. The general rule is that whatever's public and loud, you should say it the way the congregation around you is saying it, and whatever's more private, generally, you can say it the way you're used to. That's the general rule. Now, if you run into these situations often, please clarify and speak to your rabbi about it so that you'll know exactly how to practice. I'm just giving you the general guidelines that we use in situations like this. Thanks for logging on. Log on again tomorrow for more. Bye-bye.